Every single day begins with a choice. The moment your eyes open, before the world rushes in, before the noise, before the demands, you are handed the most powerful opportunity you'll have all day. That quiet space, that fragile moment in the morning, it's not just the start of your day, it's the foundation of your life. Too many people underestimate it. Too many roll out of bed, already behind, already reacting, already letting the world dictate their rhythm. But the truth is, how you start your morning shapes your mind, your energy, and your ability to rise above every challenge that waits for you. A morning routine is not just about getting up early or checking off a list of habits. It's about taking control of your mind before the world takes it from you. It's about setting the tone, setting the pace, deciding who you're going to be today instead of leaving it up to chance. Discipline doesn't arrive in the middle of the afternoon. Strength of mind doesn't just appear when life punches you. It is built in the quiet, unseen moments that no one applauds you for. It is built when you decide that your mornings will not be wasted, that your mornings will not be left to chance, that your mornings will be your weapon. The greatest battles are fought before you even step outside. If you can command your mornings, you can command your mind. And if you can command your mind, the world can't control you. That is the power of a morning routine. It isn't about perfection. It isn't about being rigid. It's about building the muscle of consistency. It's about telling yourself every single day, I am in charge. I decide my focus. I decide my energy. I decide how I step into this world. That is how you train a strong mind. That is how you refuse to be broken by pressure, distractions, or doubt. Some people wait for motivation to show up. But the mind doesn't get stronger by waiting. It gets stronger by training. And the training starts when it's still dark outside, when no one's watching, when every excuse sounds good, but you choose discipline anyway. That's the difference between drifting through life and directing your life. That's the difference between waking up with purpose and waking up already defeated. So, don't take your mornings lightly. They are not just hours on a clock. They are opportunities, a fresh canvas to paint your intention on. Every morning you claim, every morning you shape, every morning you discipline, you are building a mind that is steady in storms, sharp in decisions, unshaken in the face of failure. The power of a morning routine is the power of self-mastery. The world belongs to those who control the start of their day, because in mastering that first hour, they master the hours that follow. Own the first hour, own the day. That single choice, that single action, has the power to shift the entire direction of your life. The first hour after you wake up is not just time passing, it is a sacred opportunity to set the tone for everything that follows. Too often, people wake up and immediately surrender their attention, their energy, and their focus to the outside world. The phone rings, the notifications buzz, the rush of obligations floods in before their mind has even had the chance to center itself. And because of that, they spend the entire day reacting instead of leading. But when you choose to own that first hour, when you claim it as your own, you send a message to yourself and to the world. I am in control of my life. I am setting the pace. I am deciding how today will unfold. Think about how the mind works. It is most impressionable in those early moments. Whatever you feed it, then will ripple throughout the day. If the first thing you do is consume chaos, you invite chaos into your mind. If the first thing you do is fill yourself with intention, discipline, and clarity, then that becomes your foundation. Owning the first hour doesn't mean it has to be complicated. It doesn't mean you need a perfect checklist or a fancy system. It means you take responsibility for that hour and refuse to let it slip through your fingers without purpose. Whether it's prayer, reflection, exercise, journaling, learning, or simply sitting in silence and deciding who you want to be today, the point is that you are the one in control, not the distractions around you. The most successful people understand this truth. Mornings are not about what time you wake up, they are about how you wake up. You can rise early and still waste the morning with distraction. You can wake later and still own your first hour if you do it with focus. The power lies not in the clock, but in the discipline. When you own the first hour, you build momentum. You carry that energy into your decisions, into your conversations, into the way you respond to pressure. That momentum compounds, and suddenly the day that might have defeated you becomes a day you conquered. Every day will throw challenges at you. Stress will come, Setbacks will happen. Distractions will try to pull you away from your path. But when you've already grounded yourself in that first hour, you are harder to shake. You are steady because you began steady. You are strong because you began strong. It is the same as an athlete warming up before the game. Without the warm-up, the body isn't prepared, the mind isn't sharp, and mistakes come easier. The first hour is your mental warm-up, your chance to prime yourself for greatness. And without it, you step into the world unprepared, vulnerable, and reactive. Owning the first hour is about discipline over comfort. The bed will always call you back. The phone will always beg for your attention. The excuses will always sound convincing. But the person who learns to rise above those temptations and chooses to claim that first hour is the person who learns to rise above every other challenge in life. It is not easy, but that is what makes it powerful. A strong mind is not built by doing what's easy. It's built by doing what is necessary, especially when it is uncomfortable. If you want to shape your destiny, don't start in the middle of the day when everything is already moving fast. Start at the beginning, start with yourself, start with the first hour. That is where self-mastery is born, that is where discipline is forged, that is where resilience is trained. Own the first hour, and you won't just own the day. You'll own your mind, your focus, your direction, and eventually, your life. Discipline before motivation builds strength. Too many people wait for a feeling to arrive before they take action. They wait until they feel like working out, until they feel like studying, until they feel like chasing their goals. But feelings are unreliable. They come and go like the wind, and if you live by them, your life will never have stability. Discipline is what carries you when motivation is nowhere to be found. Discipline is the commitment to act regardless of mood, regardless of comfort, regardless of circumstance. That's why it builds strength. Because every time you act in the absence of motivation, you teach your mind and body that excuses don't control you, that temporary emotions don't dictate your future. Motivation is a spark, but sparks burn out quickly. Discipline is the firewood that keeps the flame alive. It doesn't always feel good, it doesn't always feel inspiring, but it is always necessary. Strength of mind is not created by doing what's easy when you're excited. It's created by doing what's hard when you're tired, bored, or frustrated. The real growth happens in the moments when you want to quit but don't. In the moments when the bed feels more inviting than the work. In the moments when no one is watching and no applause is coming. That is when you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your impulses. When you build a habit of discipline, you stop relying on luck. You stop waiting for the perfect mood or the perfect day to start. You stop telling yourself that one day you'll feel ready. Readiness doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing. It comes from showing up day after day, even when your mind resists. And every time you push through that resistance, you carve a deeper groove of resilience in your character. You create an inner strength that cannot be taken from you because it wasn't given by chance. It was earned by discipline. Think about any person who has achieved mastery in their field. Athletes, musicians, leaders, creators. None of them got to where they are by relying on motivation alone. They built routines, they followed schedules, they practiced even when they didn't feel like it. They understood that discipline was the price of mastery. The mind becomes strong the same way muscles do, by resistance, by tension, by being forced to work when it doesn't want to. Every time you choose discipline, you lift a little heavier weight on the inside and your mental strength grows. Motivation is emotional, discipline is intentional. Motivation may start the journey, but only discipline finishes it. It is the bridge between dreams and reality, between plans and results. The world is full of people who had dreams but lacked discipline, people who started strong but couldn't stay consistent. But those who practice discipline separate themselves because they can keep going when the excitement is gone, when the path gets difficult, when the finish line is still far away. That consistency becomes their power. It's easy to move when you're motivated. It's easy to grind when you're inspired. The real test is when you're not. When the alarm goes off before dawn and your body says no. When the books stare at you and your mind craves distraction. When the work feels endless and no one is clapping. Discipline is what carries you through those valleys. It doesn't ask how you feel, it simply commands you to act. And over time, the person who practices discipline not only achieves more, but becomes unbreakable, because they have trained themselves to rise above feelings and rely on principles. Discipline before motivation builds strength because it makes you unstoppable. It frees you from being a slave to moods, a victim of procrastination, a prisoner of excuses. It trains your mind to push forward when others step back, to keep building when others quit, to keep believing when others doubt. It is the quiet force that separates the average from the exceptional. And when you choose discipline first, motivation eventually follows, but now it meets a stronger, sharper, more resilient version of you. Mornings shape mindset. Mindset shapes outcomes. The way you begin your day sets the mental tone for everything that follows. From the moment you wake up, your mind is absorbing signals, impressions, and patterns that will either empower you or weaken you for the challenges ahead. If the first thing you do is drown yourself in distractions, negativity, or chaos, you've already surrendered your control. But if you choose to start with intention, focus, and discipline, you lay the foundation for strength, clarity, and resilience. Your morning is the soil, and whatever you plant in it will grow throughout the day. The mind is like a sponge in those early hours. It absorbs more deeply, it responds more quickly, it holds on to what you feed it. That's why beginning the day with purpose is so powerful. If you train your thoughts towards gratitude, discipline, and clarity in the morning, you carry that energy into every decision and every challenge. But if you let stress, distraction, or laziness control those first moments, that becomes your default rhythm. Your mindset is not created randomly. It is built, and mornings are the construction site. Consider how small choices in the morning ripple outward. Hitting snooze instead of rising tells your mind comfort comes before responsibility. Reaching for your phone instead of centering yourself tells your mind distraction is more important than focus. Skipping reflection or preparation tells your mind drifting is acceptable. On the other hand, rising when the alarm sounds tells your mind you are in charge. Moving your body tells your mind energy is available. Taking time to read, write, or pray tells your mind growth and peace matter. These choices shape your mindset, and that mindset dictates the quality of your actions for the rest of the day. Every outcome you experience, whether success or failure, progress or setback, can be traced back to the mindset you carried into it. A negative mindset looks for problems, hesitates under pressure, and collapses in difficulty. A disciplined mindset looks for solutions, adapts to pressure, and endures through difficulty. The difference between those two paths is often what you set in motion during the morning. Your mindset becomes your lens, and that lens either blurs your vision or sharpens your focus. The most effective people in life are not just lucky or gifted. They have trained their minds to approach the day with focus and strength. They don't leave their mornings to chance. They know the first part of the day is sacred, and they treat it like preparation for battle. Because every day is a battle against distraction, against doubt, against fear, against fatigue. And the soldier who prepares his armor in the morning enters the field with an advantage that the unprepared cannot match. That armor is the mindset you create at the beginning of your day. It's not about perfection. It's not about designing a flawless routine or never slipping. It's about intention. It's about deciding that your mornings will not be wasted, that they will be claimed as your own. When you claim your mornings, you claim your mind. And when you claim your mind, you begin to shape your outcomes. That is the real power of mornings. They don't just influence how you feel. They influence what you achieve, how you handle pressure, how you respond to failure, how you pursue success. Mornings shape mindset, and mindset shapes outcomes. If you want different results in life, start by looking at how you begin your day. Every victory begins with a decision made in the quiet hours before the noise. Every breakthrough begins with the mindset you chose when the world was still asleep. That is where transformation begins, not in the middle of chaos, but in the calm where you prepare yourself for it. When you choose to take ownership of your mornings, you are choosing to take ownership of the results that follow. Quiet routines create unshakable focus. In a world that is constantly demanding attention, pulling you in 1,000 directions, and filling your mind with noise, the greatest strength you can develop is the ability to remain centered. Focus is not something that appears out of nowhere in the middle of chaos. It is something that is trained in silence, in discipline, in the stillness of routines that ground you. The morning is the perfect time for this, because it is when the world is quiet, when the noise has not yet invaded, when you still have the power to choose what to let in. The routines you practice in that silence become the anchor that steadies your mind when everything around you is trying to shake it. Distractions are everywhere, and they are powerful. Social media, endless notifications, constant demands, all of it designed to scatter your attention. Without a strong foundation, it is easy to give in, to spend hours chasing things that don't matter while neglecting the things that do. But when you build quiet routines, you create a sacred space where you train your focus before the distractions arrive. Whether it's reading, writing, meditating, exercising, or simply breathing deeply in silence, these practices are not about the activity itself as much as they are about the discipline of directing your attention. You are teaching your mind to listen to you, not to the noise outside. Focus is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger through training. Every time you sit in silence instead of rushing into chaos, you are lifting a mental weight. Every time you choose to begin with discipline instead of distraction, you are adding another layer of strength. Over time, this practice builds an unshakable focus that doesn't crumble under pressure. When the challenges of the day come, when people try to pull you in different directions, when stress rises and obstacles appear, your mind doesn't panic because it has already been trained in stillness. It knows how to return to calm, how to stay locked in on what matters, how to ignore the noise. The most successful people are not necessarily the ones with the greatest talent, but the ones with the greatest focus. Talent without focus is wasted. Energy without focus is scattered. But focus turns small, consistent actions into massive results. And that kind of focus does not come from living in chaos. It comes from building routines that protect your mind from chaos. The morning is your fortress. The routines you create there are the walls that keep distractions out and discipline in. Quiet routines also sharpen clarity. When you begin your day without rushing, without immediately reacting, you give yourself the gift of perspective. You can see your priorities clearly. You can decide what matters most. You can align your actions with your vision instead of being dragged by impulses. That clarity becomes your advantage because while others are stumbling through the day reacting to everything, you are moving with intention, guided by focus instead of noise. It is easy to underestimate the power of quiet routines because they don't look dramatic. They don't produce instant fireworks or applause, but over time they transform you. They teach you patience, they teach you control, they teach you consistency. They separate you from the masses who live distracted, restless, and unfocused. And eventually, that separation shows in your results, in your character, in your strength. Quiet routines create unshakable focus because they root you in something deeper than distraction. They remind you that your time is yours, your mind is yours, your energy is yours. The world will always try to take it, but if you have built the discipline to ground yourself every morning, nothing can shake you. You become the calm in the storm, the steady hand in chaos, the focused mind in a distracted world. And that focus, once built, becomes your greatest weapon. Consistency in the morning trains resilience for life. The power of doing something small but meaningful every single day builds a strength that cannot be shaken by circumstance. It is not about one perfect morning, not about one burst of discipline or one day of motivation. It is about the repeated act of showing up, of claiming that space for yourself, of practicing control when it would be easier to drift. When you repeat this pattern, you hardwire resilience into your character. You teach yourself that no matter what life throws at you, you will remain steady because you have already proven it every morning. Consistency is not glamorous. It is quiet, it is ordinary, and it rarely feels exciting. But it is the foundation of everything strong and lasting. A tree doesn't grow tall because of one day of sunlight. It grows because of consistent exposure, day after day, season after season. In the same way, your mind doesn't grow strong because of one day of focus or one morning of discipline. It grows strong because you repeat the pattern over and over until it becomes who you are. That is what makes resilience possible. when discipline is no longer just an action, but an identity. When you commit to consistency in the morning, you are making a promise to yourself. You are saying that your growth matters more than your comfort, that your vision matters more than your excuses. Every morning you show up, you keep that promise. And each time you keep it, your self-trust grows. Resilience is built on that trust. Because when life tests you, you can look back on the countless times you already showed yourself that you don't quit, that you don't fold, that you don't back down. That history of consistency becomes the evidence your mind leans on in difficult times. Resilience is not built in the middle of the storm. It is revealed there. It is built in the daily grind, in the quiet choices no one sees, in the mornings when you rise and do the work even when you don't feel like it. Those repetitions prepare you for the moments when the world tries to knock you down. They prepare you to bend without breaking, to stumble without quitting, to fight without losing heart. Consistency is the training ground. Resilience is the result. Think about what happens when you fail to build consistency. Every day becomes a battle of chance. Some days you feel strong, other days you collapse under the smallest pressure. Without consistency, your mind has no anchor, no pattern to lean on, no proof of your endurance. But with consistency, even small actions, waking early, exercising, journaling, praying, reading, become powerful. They may not look like much in the moment, but over time they shape a mind that knows how to keep moving forward, no matter how heavy the resistance becomes. Consistency also strips away the illusion of perfection. You learn that it's not about flawless performance, it's about showing up again and again. Some mornings will be stronger than others. Some days your energy will be low, your focus scattered, your effort weaker. But consistency means you don't vanish, you don't disappear, you don't surrender the habit. And that practice of persistence teaches you resilience in the larger battles of life. You learn to keep going through imperfection, to keep pushing through setbacks, to keep striving even when progress feels slow. The world rewards those who stay the course, not just those who start strong. Many people have passion, many have talent, many have ambition, but few have the consistency to keep applying themselves day after day, month after month, year after year. That is why resilience is rare, because it comes from the discipline of repetition. And the morning is the perfect place to train it, because it is where you begin again every single day. Each sunrise is another chance to practice persistence, to prove to yourself that no matter what happened yesterday, you can show up today. Consistency in the morning trains resilience for life because it builds the habit of rising, the habit of enduring, the habit of refusing to quit. When the storms come, you won't be learning resilience for the first time. You'll already have it. It will already be in your bones, already carved into your character, already proven in the countless mornings you chose discipline over comfort. That quiet consistency becomes your armor, your foundation, your unshakable strength.